Good morning.
Marley.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm excellent.
Yay. How's it going, Stacy?
Morning. Good. Good. Excited to do the dragon.
Are you excited? This is right up your alley of interest. Yes.
It's so daunting, to do a reptile. So it's always good to get practice and, learn some more techniques. So when I do little gifts for Jalen.
Yeah, what size? We'll talk about what size, but have you already set that out?
No, I was thinking of doing just the 8x10.
Yeah.
I have a 9x12 piece of paper, but I have an 8x10 little guide to trace out. So
perfect. Oh, I love that. I think I should do the same.
You think 8x10 is
plenty? Yeah. Complex creature. We'll discuss how to, what to put in, what to leave, what we need, all that we need. But still, the larger you start, the more time it's going to take. Just can't see close anymore. Oh my goodness. Who else is here? Oh, hi, Pearl. Morning.
Morning. I'm trying to turn my screen on and I just don't know where it is.
Oh, start video.
Oh, I see.
Bottom left, depending on your
there we are.
device. Hey, there you are, beautiful. We're all here. Oh no, we're missing Lar. Oh no, there she is. Hey, babe.
Hi.
Annie, we're missing Annie. Okay. I'm just we have a couple minutes. Regardless, I am very punctual, but it's never a stress. I'm just taking off Herbie from the glued pad or block of paper. Anyone work anymore on Herbie?
I redid him.
You redid him?
I redid him, but I don't think it's any better.
Well, do you want to turn your screen on and share? Or?
Sure. Can you see that?
Your screen is still dark. Look for the start video, or maybe I can prompt that there.
Okay, start video. Okay.
Yay, there we go.
Is that okay?
Yeah. All right.
So
that's the second one?
Yeah, that's the second one.
Well, I love him. He looks like a capybara with the bird on his head sitting in a pool of water. He's great.
But I think his whiskers in here aren't right because I screwed them up and then I tried to fix them. And anyway, he is what he is.
They look fine to me, Marley. If anything, I'm craving a little bit more darker blue just because Herbie's really dark. So like having a little bit of dark blue in the pool of water so that it feels part of him. That's all I would suggest. Anyone else have suggestions for Marley? Or just
it's dark, so it's in your face, which is nice. It's a bang. It's nice. I think I like the contrast because that brings him right in front, and you have a really nice background, which is nice. The colors complement each other, I think.
Yeah, I like the bright colors in the background. You could always cover up Herbie with a piece of paper and splatter just to get more texture and interest happening in there in a whimsical, abstract way without having, because you don't want to put in blades of grass or more water details, but you could make it just as interesting in its own way.
I will do the splatter route.
Yeah, have fun with that. I think that's a great second round. I love him. He's fantastic. You're very quick. For everyone who's you know, just in this group, new to Marley. So I think Stacy, you've been in a class with Marley before, but Marley's very quick. And when you're quick, you can make use of your time by doing things a second time or a third time. And I'm not saying that if your internal rhythm is slower, that you should speed up or kind of fight the clock. But I will say that there is some merit. This is a whole discussion I'm not going to really get into, so I'll just dip a toe in, just dip capybara toes in, that when you, I'll just spotlight so you can see when I'm talking, that when you, in certain projects, push yourself to be faster, again, you've got to decide how quick that looks, how fast that is. No one else can tell you faster. You just have to know you're going a little bit faster than usual. There is something fantastic that happens. Your strokes become more gestural and energetic. And when you're slower, again, that could maybe even support a style. That very articulated, slow line tends to have a nervousness to it or a stiffness to it. So there's actually articles and research done on drawing quickly can really support your artistic style and confidence as well. Anyone else want to share their Herbie, or maybe we can?
Yeah,
I can spotlight both you and Pearl. Do the sister duo. Oh my goodness! Wonderful! Yay, framed! Look at Robert Ducky. Oh my goodness!
So I just touched up a bit. I didn't do another one. I just, I didn't want to overdo it because I tend to do that. And I thought I'd just start in a few colors and put in a few more ink strokes. Because, this is what I want to get out of this course is how to use ink properly, how to use the strokes. So I'm good with it.
Yay, I'm so thrilled. I love the white and like the blue water, and that you've left that, and then there's a little bit of white tints in there. That's very nice. You stopped perfectly in time. You've got a nice variety of marks as well, and the values, and then the mark making. I think you both did fantastic for under the chin, and seeing that hair is coming down with the perspective. Annie, my goodness, what a wonderful choice to do that yellow rubber ducky. It's hilarious.
Yeah, my daughter loves them. So I just happened to have a frame around, and I did that up to give it to her.
Oh, fantastic. Oh my goodness. Well, it looks great. I love, having those standard sizes, which I'm going to suggest 8x10 for today. That 8x10 is a great size for drawing. And then if you have 8x10 frames, you can even just see how it looks. Anyone else gifting their capybara? Lar?
oh yeah.
Wonderful. Love the variety of brown watercolor that you went in with. The different layers. And the little red mohawk on the bird.
I love the red mohawk.
He's fabulous. I'm so impressed. Are you keeping it or gifting it?
Keeping it.
Gifting it to yourself.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Wow.
Love that angle of the blue jay, Stacy. It's like they're having a conversation.
Right. You can't see it, but I put little like glittery, it's a pen, but there's some glitter in there too on the bird. And the so.
A little pizzazz just enough.
Right.
Marley, this is the suggestion I was saying, like, the background just like a little more splattery and blotchy. I can see some of the splatters there. I really like that you brought the green into the like water, because there is green in water. It looks very natural. The reflection of him, I love that. It's fabulous.
All right, thanks.
Y'all are so good. I don't know why I'm here for you. What am I going to teach you?
Everything.
Well, I'm glad that we chose something pretty challenging, complex, with the boys' forest dragon. I had looked it up when I sent it out, that they're in Australia. I mean, I think to me it almost looks like other lizards that I've seen, but that we know this species is a good thing, just for educational purposes. Did anyone have any questions about materials? I had sent the suggestive list for paper. I'm going to suggest that we mark off 8 by 10 because of the complexity, so we don't spend so much time doing scales and bumps and lumps.
Did you
Yeah.
suggest hot press or cold press?
For pen and ink, always suggest hot press. It's not that you can't use cold, you can, absolutely, but you always will find a nicer line with a smoother paper, and paper that's made for ink tends to be plate and smooth because of that.
You're gonna make me go to the store again.
No, just use cold press.
No, I have a pad of cold press that I use, but I'm curious about the hot press. I may go.
It is very much like drawing paper, like, no texture, but it takes water really well because it's 140. So, I mean, it is worth having. Maggie, I will purchase either arches, or I'm not using arches today, but I'm using, here, I'll spell it like this. This is a good, reasonably priced brand and fantastic paper is Stonehenge.
Yeah, I've seen that around too.
They're very good at branding themselves these days. I never had this kind of cover before. It's relatively new. This is their just drawing paper. So whoever their graphic designer is with the gloss text is pretty fly. They should keep them, maybe give them a raise. So, okay, actually, now that I have the spotlight, let's mark off 8 by 10. If you have an 8 by 10 sketchbook, then you're perfect. I'm actually even going to stay smaller within that border, personally. Not in width. We can kind of look with the reference that it's not entirely wide, so it's a little bit shy of a square. Okay, so this was pastel on top of acrylic. This was a commission. I actually had, this is an interesting story I'm going to share with you. This was for a photographer, Peter. I can't pronounce his last name. He at the time, well, I think he still is, an entomologist. So he goes around, I hope I'm getting the name of that right. He goes around and he discovers new creatures. And Gorongosa is one of the places that he works the most. I'm going to show you the first one. Say, Titanic. When I was doing a whole bunch of endangered animals, I got really sad at a certain point and I needed to balance that out. So I decided I'm going to do a series on newly discovered creatures. There's got to be new creatures that are found out there. And so I started Googling for images. And unfortunately for me, I didn't ask his permission. The thing is if you Google new animals discovered, satanic leaf-tailed gecko comes up, and I used that image and then I posted it online and, you know, said, this is my artwork. And then Peter sent me a message. And Peter said, hey, that's really great that you did this. It'd be nice if you gave credit. And he didn't just say it to me. Apparently this happens to him a lot. So anyway, we had a great discussion and goes. And then I ended up doing a whole bunch of stuff for him. Oh, am I spelling this wrong? Marine iguana. I'll just show you one more because they're all in the same realm of the detail that we're looking at. Here. So this is also in charcoal. And an interesting thing that I've discovered in doing reptiles is there's often mirrored patterns. So if you're doing these little zigzags in dark, there's often zigzags that are just mirror opposite in light. So we'll take note of that. We're going to look at the, I guess we'll call him Boyd. I don't know. Okay, we'll look at Boyd's skin and close up on screen, but that is something that I remembered from doing all of these is that there's repeat patterns, either in small to large, and the value flips. You can see when you get really close to drawings, even actually a photograph, that things start looking abstract. So it's something to keep in mind as we work is to not judge any one mark. It's all about a series of marks that work together. So you can see here, there's hatches, there's dots, there are shapes and value. There are some areas of quiet that will trickle off. And then we can go in with the rock as simple as that. So we'll talk about what to focus on most detail. So yeah, Peter and I actually do some collaborative work together, and I've learned from that situation to always ask a photographer. They will often say yes. But it's really important to respect their art, and I learned the hard way. So here is the little markup that I had sent. I just wanted to talk about how we're going to map this out. So we're going to look at the crosshairs. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Sweet. It's the first time I'm doing this digitally. Okay, so we're going to look at the crosshairs here and look at what we know. We know that the center of this cropped photo is right in the middle of the barrel of his belly. Probably where this heart is. Little heart there. And we know that the land is on an angle about halfway down, a quarter on the right, and a little shy of the middle on the left. Going to look at putting in a very simple potato body. We're going to break it down into simple shapes. We're going to look at
a great analogy of that.
A potato?
It's a potato.
I
think we should name him Tater.
I like that. Tater it is. Yeah, he's got a tater body, and there's nothing wrong with a tater body.
When you hold one, I don't know if anybody has actually held one.
Yeah.
They have quite a solid torso. Like it feels like you're holding on a potato.
Oh, like they're dense and thick? Yeah,
it's very dense. And then you've got these little legs and the head and the tail coming off, but it sits right in the palm of your hand like a potato does.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I imagine they're pretty they got a good grip too, like sticky feet. I'm going to look at this back leg and how it meets the rock. And the back foot is really funny, but only funny as in you got to tell your brain that it does not know the shape of it. That's why we're going to be observant and look. So we're just going to take note of how that fans out. Almost looks like a little man dancing. But just don't let your brain say, oh, I know what lizard feet, reptile feet looks like. We're going to look at how the arm here has an elbow and connects, and a little bit more of that common expected fan out of the fingers. And then here's where it gets a little tricky, because it's all about Tater's face, right? It's all about personality. Is it all in the upper left? Their little chin dangly thing. I can't remember what those are called. Moose have them too.
Oh yeah.
It's I always forget the name of it. But so that hits pretty much that center line a little bit lower. And then it comes in to the top of the body. And it's going to come out. And we're going to look at what's called the plumb line. It's actually halfway in that section. So it's a quarter in. And the head, the eye also hits that line. That's fantastic. These are really good things to know, so that we can put this in very gesturally. And the mouth, we're going to look at it like a triangle coming back to the middle. That's like an 8. And we will figure out the height of the head, because there's no real plumb line that we can use there. All right, so I've got here an HB, something like an HB or 2B. So I've got my 8x10 borderline, and I'm going to come in and do a crosshair in the center. Remember, eye it out first as best as you can, and then, then take a ruler and check it. I'm very close. There's 2 centimeters off. 2 centimeters off. So just so that you're training your eye-hand coordination. Because it is a muscle memory for what you see you can do. So now we know that the barrel of the potato barrel is in that center. But just to mark in the ground or the rock, I'm going to make a little mark on the side here for this is where the rock could be. And I want it to be asymmetrical just for interest. It's a good photo for that. And then look at finding a lower center, like a quarter up on the right. And we can connect those very lightly just to get a sense of where that whole rock is in the background. We won't see that, but visually connect it. We know his body comes down below that rock because he's sitting on it, but a little closer to us with his hands facing us. So I know that that potato has to come down at least here. Going to make a plumb line for where I can't see his body anymore. So it's kind of through his leg. and say that it is a little bit shy of halfway on the right. So I'm going to bring up that potato here. Now it's not a perfect potato. Potatoes aren't perfect. So I'm going to make a little bit of a, considering the angle of this, it's going to be an odd potato. And looking at that little dangly, which was halfway on the left side, that I can say, this is where I'm going to end that potato and pull them together.
So it's halfway,
It's almost,
the shoulder is halfway?
yeah, it's a quarter here and it's almost a quarter here, but it's shyer than that.
So it's a quarter side and a quarter side.
Yeah, maybe like, yeah. I mean, it can be a bit bigger too. I did a little bit more than a quarter on the.
And how far up does it go? Like a quarter again, or?
So actually this is a half, sorry. This one's like a half on this side.
Okay.
It's almost, see, it's a third. This would be a third if we were just looking at the left and right separately.
So the front part is a half,
Mm-hmm.
and the second part is a third.
Yeah, that feels good. The shoulders under the head are probably the more important part because we really don't see the booty. It's hidden by the leg. So it's when we're working out relative proportion, we're going with putting a mark down, working with what we know at the time, being open to changing that. And this is why we go in very loosely. Last week we talked about not making a very strong circle. We're dancing our lines in so that we can adjust very freely and be sort of like go forward, knowing that we're not entirely sure. So we're feeling it out. It's all a metaphor for life. This is how we go through life too. Be open to change, but you have to go forward. So let's work just the easiest part is the back leg from here. So at the end of that potato on the right, I'm going to make a little circle here for the joint. And it doesn't come up to the back. So just putting it in sort of where I see it there. And then I'm going to say, oop, that potato actually comes down and it hits that rock. So we're coming, and it's not a potato anymore. It's looking more mechanical. So let's keep our lines sort of in the realm of a simple geometric shape, but also very organic. And then I'm going to come up and meet that joint. There's also another little part of his leg, and I'm just put in a round circle within a circle to get the sense of that. He's a beefy looking, he goes to the gym. He's got little cute muscles. If I was a lizard, I tell you. And right as that leg hits the rock, we're going to fan out with that one digit. And if you can't figure it out, That's why I actually put this here, is to simplify it. I used Photoshop to just take away certain areas. I also put that there so that we can envision the beginnings of putting in ink and how it's going to look. And then we can come up with something in between, depending on how much detail you want to do. I will not be going this crazy here. You're not crazy if you decide to do that much detail, though. But I think something in the middle would be nice. But just looking at sort of the basic, how long the digits are. And getting a nice curve. Now they don't come to the edges, but the bottom two are quite long. They almost reach the bottom. Oops. You're allowed to erase. Just giving you permission for that. Again, try not to outline so much, just keeping it very loose. Keep your pressure gentle. And it is going to look super weird right now, like an alien creature, right? Definitely doesn't look like a foot yet. Really looking at, I'd say, the dynamic angles of the toes. And this shape in here is very interesting to me. It's like a wishbone. I think if you get that, you'll be golden. Because the other ones are like, okay, cool, but that's the very interesting shape in there, in my opinion. Okay. At a certain point, we're not going to fuss. We'll still be open to adjusting that. Does anyone need more time on that? Just give me a little hand raise. Okay. Just going to go a little bit closer so that everyone can see in the future on camera just how loose and sketchy I'm being here. Almost looks like a toy, like an anatomically robot.
Can I show you mine? I'm not sure if I'm getting like too long.
Yep. Yep. Check-ins are absolutely welcome.
Okay. I feel like my back foot is weird. I don't know. Can you see it? Is it dark enough?
Yeah. No, it's perfect.
Okay.
It's your leg isn't muscly enough.
Okay.
There's got to be more meat in the leg. Other than that, it looks great.
Okay.
This is a good time to check in things. Anyone else want to check?
I do.
Okay. Hold it up a bit higher. Oh, that looks fantastic. Damn, Marley, great. His body's going to have a little bit more of an angle, but we'll get to that, okay?
Okay.
The body's going to be a little bit more on a 45 to a point.
Okay.
Pearl, yeah. Oh, awesome. Nice toes. Yeah, it looks really great proportion. Very good. Annie? Oh my gosh, fantastic.
We started it last night.
Good. Yeah, you've got it. I I think the angle of the head will work on a little bit just where the mouth is, but I actually like the lines that you have, but the 3/4 angle isn't showing through. And I do think it's a good challenge for you to adjust it. Even though you could work with it the way it is, it would serve you well to get that 3/4, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Maggie, Lars, should we continue or? Okay. I'm going slower here. Everyone. Maggie, I think his leg's a little short.
What, this one?
Like as in, yeah, I think it needs to come out.
More this way?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I really like your toesies, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You did the toes once, you can do them again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost, so the furthest toe to the right, like that's almost hitting the border. It's almost hitting the edge. So put that little toe in and meet that.
Okay.
Lara, did you want to check in? Please. A little bit more to the side that's not by the light. I'll be able to see it. Nice. Nice. Very good.
Thank you. I've erased a lot, so.
And that's okay. And keep your lines maybe a bit lighter.
Yeah.
A little, like, hardly letting your, I'm gonna spotlight just to show, I'm hardly like gripping this. Like when it's very loose, like chopsticks.
Okay. Got it.
I also, I have to say, for what it's worth, it's an occupational hazard. I had to get x-rays on my hands recently, and I'm waiting on also shoulders that's for traveling, but my hands, I don't know what's wrong. It's either going to be carpal or something, but I'm getting like pain right up and in my fingers. So I'm very weak in my hands, and it's only just started this year. So I've so far been advised to have like a nice soft grip on my pencil. This is what my RMT. Yeah. She said, oh, just get a little spongy thing for your pencil. And I said, do you know how many pencils and brushes I have? Like I'm going to be flipping back and forth this spongy thing, or I'm going to have to buy a bulk of 100. Like, anyway, I said, I'm listening to you. It's just, to me, it's a little going to be absurd. I have to figure out a creative way to do that.
Charlena,
Yeah.
I bought these little spongy things, and they're pretty small, but so I cut them, and it just offers a bigger grip.
I've seen something like that, and you like it. It's okay.
I do. Yeah. I don't, and I find that I'm holding it looser too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a mini pool noodle.
Yeah, and they're for pencils, basically, but cut and they'll fit just about anything.
Okay, I did find something like that on Amazon. I will get them. Yeah. I love it now. I don't feel so alone using them. Thank you. So getting into, again, what we know is that this little dangly, I own spotlight here. I don't think so. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so this little dangly bit that doesn't quite hit the rock is right at the potato edge here. And it actually comes into a ridge of the skin. And that's going to help me with the back, is that looking at the distance here, it's the same angle, but this now has to change to come up into the neck. I'm going to delete. Oh my gosh. That's the new word for erase. Delete that little line there. And I'm just going to take one little observation of where that neck is. that where the neck curves up is a third on the left. So 1, 2, 3. So this is the approximate curve. It is not straight up, it's on a bit of an angle. And this is where relative proportion is very important when we have nothing to measure where the eye hits, is to just look at the space that's left. This is the negative space, and that I can't really go higher than this or else it's going to be out of proportion. And I'm going to stop there because I don't quite know where to go next. But I do know that where that neck hits is also approximately where that beefy arm is. And that the elbow pretty much comes to middle, center, getting a nice angle so that he looks like he can support himself. When I drew this out, I did draw this out a few times myself. And when I drew it out, I found that if I didn't have a little bit more of an exaggerated angle here, he felt unsteady. Looking at where the wrist is, it's basically where the ankle is. We've already put the ankle in. Just take out that line so we can. It's got a really nice arm. Wow. I'm falling in love. What a body. How the queens on the runway, they're like body, yaddy, yaddy, you know, like, I'm just like, ooh, Tater. He's so sexy. This stays between us. Okay, what happens in art class stays in art class. You go around telling people this, I'll know it's one of you. So now here's a little trick for figuring out things that are sort of going off into an area you're not sure where to stop. I know that at that neck, that mouth, that little 3/4 of an angle mouth has like you could actually work out what angle that is, but all I have to do is just take my pencil and go like this, and then go like this to get a sense of that same rhythm. I'm sketching in just things that make sense to me at the moment. Here's that hand. And I know the hand doesn't come out too far, so it's approximately here, which is giving me a sense of where that end of the nose could be. Mouth. I'm just going to simplify that into a little boxy frame right now, bringing that chin down into the under the chin. Oh, I want to know the name of that thing. I'm going to look it up. I have to know. Nose. Chin. It's called a dewlap. Yay. We could call him Dewey. You get to name your own, but I'm sticking with Tater. Because neither of them are sexy names, really. So now I'm going back to something that I do know to refine things, and that is that the eye fell on the halfway mark on the left side. So that's the quarter mark, right? On the left. So that's where I'm going to put a circle here on the right side of that line. And now I know I have to change something. Just changing it slightly. Have to be open to that. And I'm going to come down into a curve, up into the nose. And it's actually quite a big space over here. It comes out, you can see one little nostril on the left. There's a little tiny nostril. That was a piece of dirt. This little tiny nostril there. And there's a little tiny nostril that's just a little circle before the dip here. And the mouth is a curve. This is how you're going to get that 3/4. And it pretty much comes straight and it ends just before the neck. I love the eye. Oh my gosh. Just putting in some guiding lines. I'm not going to bother with the spikes, just to have an idea of where the overall shape of the head is. I do feel the mouth comes down straight and then curves. And then from that dewlap, there's a line of texture. We don't need to call it anything. It's just a line of texture. So that brings us back to the nose, the middle of the nose. I'm just going to put in some hatching marks in there because that's going to be a darker area that we will hatch, I think. Just coming a little closer there so you can see. He looks pissed right now, but I'm sure he'll soften up. Shake out your hand and use those guide, whatever's working for you, use that to map out anything that's left. Looking at the space in between things as well. So it's not just where are the fingers, look at the space in between the fingers. Okay. Come see your hand. Come see. When you just stop thinking about them as fingers and just as shapes, I start seeing a whole bunch of weird stuff. It's really cool. Okay. I think exaggerating is a good thing here. I'm going to pull out his hand that's resting under his face a little bit further out than what I am seeing, because it just, again, didn't feel balanced enough. Like I want him to feel strong, like potato. All right. take your time to finish up. Ask me for a check-in. This is it, because we're going in with black ink now and a brush, and it's go time. But I want you to feel as confident as possible with your drawing. So unmute and let me know when you like.
I'm ready, sure.
Hit. Yeah, nice. Very good, Marley.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you want to put in a couple of indications of the angle of the spine, spike, yeah, go for it, but just do little lines. Don't worry about putting in the time of making the little triangles. And please don't count the spikes. Just put them in relatively, getting smaller to the back of the leg. If you want to exaggerate a little bit.
Can you show us your
Oh, so sorry.
or maybe I'm just not seeing. Okay.
No, you're right. I didn't have it spotlit. I'm just putting in just lines in here. I'm not going to bother about doing the like triangle. Just want to get a sense of the angle. Again, the angle, there's only a couple here. Kind of just looking at the left side where it kind of comes down, and then they're hidden here. That's all you need. So Marley,
Yes.
what you can get out next is ink, whether it's India ink or another kind of ink, doesn't matter. Black watercolor is fine, and a brush. I'm using a little ceramic dish for the ink. I have water and paper towels on hand.
So I could use watercolor charcoal.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, that's what I want to do too. I'm going to use regular ink, but oh, I love
So
that.
I'm not using any of my pens.
We will be.
Okay.
We will be. Well, I do want to use watercolor charcoal. That's what I'm doing. Oh, if I can find it. Ooh, exciting.
What is the watercolor charcoal?
I will show you. It's really just it's a product made by Nitram. I'm in love with it. It is charcoal powder with gum arabic. It's a watercolor with the pigments charcoal. So it is black, but the way it dries, it's very granulated. And I love that. It's so exciting. I am going to use ink as well, but. And then also, no matter what ink you have, it doesn't matter. I have carbon ink, which I love, but then I also have this Chinese calligraphy, like, if this has actually got gold dust in it, it's made that way. And the way it dries, it has like a bronzy sheen on the off angle. And so this is a good time to play. If you just have India ink, that's perfect. You don't have to have all the weird stuff.
Can we use like a Dr. What is it? Dr. Bronner?
Yeah. Dr. Martens, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. I would say, like if you want to bring in color, go for it. But because the focus is on Tater, I would keep it pretty minimal. I love that this image did have a black background. It's very striking and strong. So compositionally, the black really works. And that's where, you know, regular ink is very powerful. Anyone else want to check in?
I do. I can't really get his head. I don't know. Can you, is it dark enough?
Yeah. There's something about the chin angle. Snout is very, very boxy here.
Okay.
And yours is coming out like, it's almost like too round like that.
Okay.
So square this off. And it does come out as a slight curve, but it is so slight here. Anyone else?
What size of brush should we be using, Cher?
I've got a watercolor size 8 round.
Okay.
I don't think you need any bigger. A round would be good.
Okay.
For the point. Natural hair is recommended if you have it. You can use synthetic too. Like, this is a synthetic 8 and it does have a point. It's not as pointed, but we'll work with what we've got. If you have something smaller, that's okay. You can even go bigger.
Can I check in for a sec?
Was that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pearl. Yes.
Yeah.
I see you, Annie. We'll get there. Okay.
Hang on a second.
Fantastic body. Now his face is, like, I'm not feeling that angle so much because the dip from the eye to the snout should be on the same level almost. It doesn't feel as, maybe just do this with the sketchy marks. I'm not seeing that dip so much. This dip here.
Which dip?
This dip. This one.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just make that a little bit. You might even need to bring the snout in more or raise it a little bit just so that this is feeling pretty profound and not too far away.
Okay.
Just maybe erase the line. I always suggest to erase the line entirely. Obviously, you'll see a ghost line, but erase the line and then just kind of go again.
I think maybe like,
Let me see.
maybe I'll just short, the snout is a little bit.
Yeah,
bumpy.
bring it higher. It actually needs to come to the height of the eye.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, thanks.
What about this?
Your dip isn't dippy enough, but otherwise almost there. The dip in between the eye and the nostril, just like I was suggesting to Pearl, it's not coming down enough.
This needs to go that way. Is that what you're saying?
1 second. I keep hitting the wrong camera. I'm sorry. This isn't dippy enough.
Okay.
Yeah. I understand that in the photo it doesn't look extreme, but trust me. You trust me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Annie. Okay, I'm going to spotlight you. Perfect. You got the angle. Maybe a little bit of the nostril on the outer side of the nose. Just that little tiny little blip out.
Oh, just there.
Yeah, it's parallel to the circle.
Okay.
Yes. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, I think I'm good.
Maggie? Yeah. I think it looks good. I'm not sure. I can't really see the top of the nose. Is it as high as the eye? He's not, his snout isn't feeling.
Oh, he's not enough.
Yeah, give me some snub nose. Give me some attitude.
He's got the, but that the,
It's all about the, Laura, how you doing, babe? Oh, I love his little face. Let me see. There's just, I think just give me 1 second. I don't think it's wide enough, but I could not be seeing the neck. I think the neck has to come out a little bit.
It's out here. It's just a line. I erased them, so
Yeah. And so give me a little bit of thickness.
More.
I'm going to point to just,
yeah.
I feel that this is a little too skinny.
Okay.
So where I was saying this comes out, you might actually need to like bring this out a little bit too, okay, so that there's a little bit more fuller face. Also, just check again that the nose and the eye is almost on the same level. That
it needs to be lower.
It's if we just want to break down, I'm gonna 1 second here. I'm gonna share my screen. I just want to look at how boxy this is. I mean, they're almost on the same level. Like, to me, that's very similar. And then down from the eye, down to here. This is like a rectangle. And then this is like a triangle. Obviously very simplified, but so there is a little bit more of a lip on the eye there. I'll adjust mine a bit too.
Okay, thanks.
I am loving this Procreate option. For me, it's really good. In the past, all I've ever really done is mark up the printout, which is, it works, like you can see, but I'm liking that Apple Pen. And you know, I hardly have been using digital drawing, but it's taken years. I finally become more comfortable with it. I'm still not comfortable at all, but that to me is kind of exciting because I hated it at first. I thought it was so foreign and I had a bit of an attitude about it. So kind of just being persistent and seeing what's possible has been very cool. And I'm glad that I didn't give up. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of ink out. Just going to do this and say that when I'm ready, you don't have to do this with me. I would actually prefer if you just watched. Okay, because I'll do it pretty quickly. I am going to add a little bit of water to my brush and just loosen up that ink. Here we go. So I'm starting with this ink. You know, there's no right place to start. You can start anywhere that's comfortable for you. You could start with all the inking and penning and then putting in this whole background afterwards. However, I feel that if you do that, or if we do that, then we'll be drawing in with the pen all of those spikes, and that is so unnecessary. So again, just in the face of efficiency, I'm going to go in to where it's smallest at the neck and use my point to create the spikes. So just give me a moment here as I place and then angle. Place and then angle. And as I angle, I'm pushing on my brush that has tons of cat hair in it because, of course, I'm pushing so that I'm getting more of a variegated teardrop mark And all of this is going to be black. So we're just fanning this out. Sometimes you can still see your marks with the brush. So actually being intentional with them, like continuously going with that angle can be good. Okay, so place more cat hair. Place and bring it out on the angle. Over and over. And where it meets and starts getting smaller, you can actually articulate that. Changing up that angle a little bit more. Ooh, and you can start playing with how you brush. So actually making a little swipe this way, I'm feeling I'm getting a nice chunky edge. You can do a tester page. I'm not saying that you have to just go right on into the drawing, but as you repeat things, if one thing isn't so perfect, that's okay. So here we go. Filling in. This is so efficient, feels so good. Putting in some inconsistency in the rock there, just with intention that it's not just a smooth line. I'm going to go over my 8.5 by 11 line so that the black goes off. It's something to consider whether you're painting or drawing is going outside of the border so that if it's framed, because it very well could be. I don't ever put pressure on myself that something should be framed, but I always am open to it and thinking about those things that in case. Now this is where it's like, it's better to be, you know, bold and strong than trying to get it perfect. It is going to be permanent, but going in, making a mark, accepting it, loving it, not judging it. You'll see that it'll feel so like almost half finished. I mean, we're not half, but definitely a quarter just by putting this in. Moving your paper as well, I have to say, so that you are not twisting your body. Let me know if you're having any observations about your materials in a way that you're unsure. Because ink should be fine on drawing paper, should be fine on anything you've chosen. But if you're seeing something weird, you're not sure about it, don't hesitate, please.
I'm using an ink that I've never used before.
Is that the Dr. Martens?
No, it's India ink, but it's turning out like with a brownish tint to it.
Yeah, that's it. It's a very warm brown. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very normal. I think it'll go well with Tater. Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was going to be dark enough.
You can also do layers of ink. You can see if I bring this closer, this is the carbon ink, that it still has like a brownish undertone to it.
Okay.
So go full concentration, and you can bring in a second layer for sure. I'm going to, just as my brush is got ink on it, I'm going to add some water to it, and I'm going to bring in the barrel just to jump ahead with the shadow underneath him. This again is efficient. I'm just looking at the darkest part under him. I'm going to put in a very broken up edge into his body. That's in the stomach part. And then right underneath his arm here, I'm going to go full strength black. And this is the negative space in between his arm and his body. It's dark there. I'm looking at the darkest parts right now. And then I'm going to stipple that out because it's a rock. So we're doing the same kind of pattern, right? We're doing this kind of dot, 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 fading into the body here. And then we're doing this dot, 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 fading out from the negative space in the rock here. So they're just mirrored. I'm just using the brush and the ink for the darkest areas here because it's efficient. So I'm going to come in this little spot too, under the chin. I'm going to go gentle. And when I say gentle, I mean kind of less is more, because I can always add more. Like salt. Can't take the salt back. You have to add more water and the soup, and then the soup is getting a little crazy. It's too salty or too watery. This is a great approach for negative space too, just looking at the shadows. This no tan, this is what I call a no tan study on the bottom of our printout. This is what we're going for right here. So if you want to fold up your reference so that that's all you're looking at, what we're doing. So that means you can even go with your brush underneath the toes, in between the toes. And please don't follow your pencil lines exactly, okay? Use your tool, your brush also, just how your brush can do cool things for you. And be open to letting go and changing something either intentionally or because you like the line better, whatever the reason, you do not have to trace here. Sometimes my brush is skipping and I'm actually getting these little marks that look like the bumps on the edge of his skin. And I'm like, woohoo, thank you, brush. I love you. Here's an interesting spot. I know you're working, but if you can just do a little peek in. This mark that I just made is the rock, okay? However, the darkness comes in to his arm. So just like these two areas I pointed out, this rock shadow is going to flip and start to come in on the opposite side of that middle line there into his elbow.
The only place you watered down some was underneath the belly.
So far, but
Okay.
it's interesting you say that because I was just going to say you're very welcome to use that ink and then to pull it out with some water, you know, to start getting some line work. This is the variegated line work in the rock, which I wouldn't do pure black. And the reason design-wise is because we want the strongest contrast to be in Tater. So the rock, even though there might look like there's black in the reference photo, we can use our brush to thin and then thick, looking at the direction of those creases, but it's very watered down ink in here. There's no way, personally, pardon me, personally, I would like to do that rock with a marker pen tip. No, you could, but for me, no. I love using variegated lines. So coming in thick, pressing, lifting, using your brush on its side and pulling, you get really neat organic marks here. So I just took a peek at the photo online. Sorry, like on the screen, because that's where you can see the contrast better because it's backlit, right? And the darkest black, just like the background, is under the belly. So that's where I'll start to shape that shadow that now comes into being a rock. And that leg, back leg, the rock, again, flips into the shadow underneath the leg here. So rock here, shadow on the bottom of this leg. So that means if I put the shadow on the bottom of this leg here, this rock part has to fade out so that there's value meeting underneath that. And there's a differentiation, and that's where that stippling can come in. It may not seem like it at first, but it is super effective to have that flipped edge. Marley, how's it working out with the charcoal? I didn't end up using it.
Well, I'll let you see.
Can you lift it?
I can. It's
Okay.
a bit runny, but I can probably do it.
No, just give it a second. Just wait.
It's not
Yeah, go ahead.
not drying very quickly.
That's probably the biggest difference between ink and watercolor. And that's okay. It's going to leave you amazing texture. Like, I'm really excited for you that you decided to use that.
Well, I'm thinking that the well, you can see it when I hold it up, that there's it's picking, I'm using illustration board, so it's picking up the texture of that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I'm using watercolor because I do have carbon ink.
Yeah.
I don't know, my brain's not working very well today. I used carbon ink to ink up my food pen and another very fine fountain pen. but I don't know. I guess I left my bottle in the kitchen and then I just started doing, but I
You
think
can always bring in ink over top, Pearl.
it might be okay for now. I don't know. Maybe I'll just finish with watercolor. I don't know.
That looks great. Is that an indigo or a Payne's gray?
No, this is it's actually, you know what? I've actually used even the wrong one. I'm using a neutral tint.
Nice.
I should have used something else.
No, not should have. I mean, I think this is going to be great because it's complementary to the warmth of the lizard. Is he a lizard, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he's going to be brown, right? And then so you've got this background that's complementary, and I like that. I like your strokes. I think it's fantastic. Sometimes mistakes are actually like unconsciously a better decision.
Because I should have probably used lunar black where I have texture. Oh no, not this part, but maybe later on.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering when I guess I can't really get rid of all those shady marks with watercolor, right?
No, those you have to embrace those and make them part of it. And it's what makes it interesting because we're not doing graphic design. We're not looking for gouache, complete flat. The brush marks are actually what makes those spaces exciting.
So if it was Indian ink or carbon ink, I wouldn't see any of those strokes.
You'd see less. So this is carbon, and you can still see my strokes.
Okay. Not as profound. Okay.
It is definitely more opaque. And the thing is, Pearl, at any point, like after doing some, because we're going to go in and do some detailed with the mark, like the pens, but you can bring in carbon or indie ink over top of the watercolor, no problem.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to have to end up doing. Anyways.
And so you could play with that, right? Like you could, you could actually use the Indian ink in certain areas and leave the watercolor in certain areas that just play off each other, and you'll have more control in doing that at the end. It could be fun.
I'm just afraid of using my good brushes on permanent ink.
Oh, so yeah, that's a very good question, or like a very good concern. You do have to wash your tools very well and immediately. You cannot walk away from them.
You need to wash it with the soap, like the brush soap?
Yes. Okay. I'm using a sable, very expensive sable brush right now.
Yeah, me too. I'm using my Escoda.
Hey, me too. We're twinsies.
So I'm afraid, I'm like, oh, I don't know, we're gonna put that in ink. So you have to wash it right away, I guess, with the soap and okay.
Yeah, that's all. That's the only. You just can't walk away from it. If the phone rings, you don't have to wash it with soap if you're just stepping away for,
like later on when you want to clean it properly.
Yeah, and you should use water to rinse it out if you're just putting it down for a second. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay, I think it's dry enough now, Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
Wow.
I'm not really excited about the spines, although they look better now that I'm seeing them on there.
Good. Yes.
But all up here is kind of blotchy, but I can go over that when it's dry.
Sure, but I think it's interesting, right? It's part of the medium. It is up to you. Yes, you can go over it, and yet I would leave it because it more than likely is just, it's got energy to it, Marley.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think having that space flat is what we're after, but that is your decision. And I would just, implore you to wait until the end and see how it plays off the texture of the scales and stuff. At this point, you can make like eraser marks in certain areas if you don't need them anymore. Now it depends on your comfortability. If you feel more comfortable with pens, you can use pens, and we'll get there around 10:30 or 11:30. We're gonna get out the pens and rock those. But I actually do like brushing in. So the eye, because it's also fairly, one of the darkest things, I'm going to put that in with the brush.
Charlene, can you spotlight your painting?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I might even give him a little glimmer in his eye, even though it's not there. Photo, I kind of just left a little bit of white there. If I don't like it later, I can fill it in, but I know it's hard to see with there. I do, again, like doing what I can with the brush. So I'm going to bring in that shadow under the eye. I did hit the black of the pupil, and so it starts bleeding, and that's okay. So those are the things we just have to accept. Just going to leave it. Don't mess with it. That's a big lesson. It's just to walk away, come back later. But I really like how this ink is giving me a tone for these shaded parts. I'm going to show with the brush, the little spot here. Obviously, I pulled down this ink here and ignored, this is not necessarily a mistake, but I've ignored all these little tiny dots. So I'm going to make sure that I focus on these bigger dots. So when you put a circle down and around a white area, you're going to connect that out. It has to connect out. And I'm not going to count his freaking dots. I'm just going to put in, there might be more on mine than what he actually has. But you want to fill in an area, whether it's flat value or it's connecting in between as you go. I'm going to take a little assessment using mine as an example. I don't want to do this whole thing with ink and brush. So I'm just going to look at what I have and how to balance it out. So I'm going to bring in a little bit in the body, kind of the negative space of those wrinklies. Letting that fade off. It's almost just like dirty water. This is hardly, you know, any ink on my brush, just mostly dirty water. Just looking at how I can space out some of these washes. Just as we're painting, I tell you a funny story because it's on my mind. I visited my Nana yesterday. My Nana's super cool. So it's the end of the day. We're tired. We've been for a walk and whatnot. And so I'm like, do you want to watch a movie? She said, sure. And she's kind of picky about movies. I think, you know, everyone has their thing. And she said, yeah, I want something with a good storyline. And she can't handle like, you know, anything but like a drama or true story. So I spent like an hour while she's doing her thing, finding a movie. So I found a movie. We're in bed, you know, cuddling up, and I put it on. And I can just kind of tell by the way she's engaging. I said, Nana, are you enjoying this movie? She goes, it's boring. It's just so blunt. I'm like, okay, well, I'm tired. Let's just, you know, hit the hay. It's like after all of that, she couldn't even like humor me and be like, you know, that's okay. We'll fall asleep to it. Or no, it's boring. And I thought it was a good movie, so I ended up watching it on the way home. I can't start a movie. If I like it, I can't start it and stop it. I have to finish it.
That's why I can't have a TV in my bedroom.
Yeah. I don't think that's healthy anyway. That's just my opinion, but yeah. Yeah, like your bedroom should be a sanctuary for sleep.
I know my kids were never allowed bedrooms in there or TVs in their bedrooms either.
Mm-hmm.
And my son hated that rule.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, a younger teenager, but now that he's a little older, he's like, "Thanks, Mom."
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get your thank yous until like 25 earliest.
Right.
Well, I know adults who have TVs in their bedrooms and they do not get great sleeps, I'll tell you that. Stay up way too late. And it's not a good light for your eyes to wind down. And this ain't no opinion, this is science. I've had to look into it because of living with a teenager. I had to actually look at the Sleep Science Center, you know, info. I actually had a really rocky sleep last night. I got enough and whatever, but I made like a pear coffee cake and it was so delicious, but I actually wanted a coffee with it, which was a really stupid decision. So that was like at 7 o'clock. I was like, oh, it's going to make it like a dessert coffee. And usually I'm a really good sleeper, but I messed that up. It's like my own fault. So remember to always leave little bits of white no matter what. You can always add more, but you cannot take it back. How's your sleep now that the house is quiet, Stacy?
I don't sleep well either way.
Never have, or?
I think now it's like getting like perimenopause, menopause type stuff.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, it's super fun.
I can't wait. I also can't wait because no one really talks about it or tells. There's so many different things about it that you just you don't know. You don't know if it's part of it. So
right.
My hairdresser has told me to get hormone therapy when at a certain point, like actually take like whether it's naturopathic or whatever. And I mean, Maggie, don't you? Yeah, I thought so. So I might need your help with that because I believe that we do have some control over. I have to have hope. I have to.
Try it with a CPAP machine and sleep apnea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's like once your body stops producing the stuff that it needs, it just needs like a little help, but without putting in synthetic stuff. And that's what I've been trying to do.
Just a little zippity.
Just a little zippity doo dah.
Yeah. I also have to be careful. I can't take anything that like estrogen because breast cancer runs in the family.
Nope.
So you've already talked about that with
the
doctor and stuff.
Yeah, because my mom had breast cancer, my aunt had breast cancer. I mean, just on and on and on.
Yeah.
I do recommend acupuncture for hot flashes, though.
Ooh. I've never had acupuncture. I'm curious.
I enjoyed it. I do need to go back and see if it'll help with the sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that department, not saying that, anything else isn't as important, but in that department, I really have always felt so sad for anyone who, couldn't, because it really, I mean, not often, but anytime I haven't had sleep for like consecutive weeks, like really good, I have just felt like I'm off this planet. I'm going to stop here on just for what it's worth, give you a visual. Again, you can always bring this kind of stuff back in at the end. So I'm just going to give this a minute, wash my brush, let this dry, because you can't go in with technical pens with it wet. Although give me some, little what you want as well, because we can always do the technical stuff. Well, I really like finishing a project in one class if possible. So even if we can just start on it today, get a sense of, because it is a lot of repeat patterning. And then you can always take a photo and email me and I can send you some, thumbs up and thumbs, little sideways with a do this and that to bring it to a place of completion. But let's see what we can do in this class. Okay, so I'm going to start looking just here first and say what's the highlight that I need to avoid, because we want to keep mostly white regardless of any washes that we've put down. So that's going to be hardly any accents in the nose. We don't really need much above the eye because it's in the light. Same with the spine. We don't need much. We are going to obviously refer to the full color and detailed photo that there are some dots at the edge of those little nodules, but it is in the light, so we don't need much happening in there. We're in the top part of the body. So I'd like to start from the bottom part of the body and go into the bottom part of the mouth and see what we need to do in the arms. I don't think the arms and hands and feet need much because in the photo, they're very camouflaged with the rock. So if all we have is an insinuation of them, I think that's good enough. Obviously, once we get in some detail in here, we'll look at that again and then see what we need to balance it out so that they feel connected and part of it. But I feel that the main texture is in the body, under the chin, a little bit to the left of the eyes. So let's start under the body. We'll move up to the face. Just gonna get a bit smaller there. So I'm just gonna work in this spot here. So there are these little indicating patterns. And this is like when you're looking at an animal's, even pet portraits are huge for this, is you've got to look at identifiable markings. It's what sets apart one dog, one cat from the other. You know, the little patterns in their fur or their, so this guy, this little fella has 3 white areas in his belly here. Now I don't need to bring in exactly 3. So I'm going to look at how that pattern repeats, and I'm going to do little V's, just like so. They're little tiny V's, and I'm going to do it almost like checking off taxes or something that I hate, because I'm going to do it real quick, and that's the point, is that you're going to do it real quick and repetitive. So I'm going to come in from the belly up, and where I can, going to leave a stronger V in 3s. It doesn't even need to be that it's white. Just a stronger V. It's these 2.
What size pen are you using?
I'm actually using a Sharpie today because it's just what I grabbed. I would say it's probably like a 3.
A 3?
A 0.3. It might even be 2 fine. I'm not personally a big fan of the felted ones. I try to avoid sets that have the felted tips. However, this is a good place to try the thicker, because that felt tip is actually working really well down there. So if you look at a roof, like shingles on a roof, they still have to connect. And try and come as close as possible with the camera here. So as I make one V, come in and make another, and then I have to bridge that. Just know that they have to connect. gonna make sort of a hatching mark underneath that wrinkled skin area and fade it into. So this hatching just under here. I don't want any straight lines. That's the thing. Straight lines that are perfectly straight and drawn are so obvious, and you take everyone out of the illusion. So I'm going to put in more hatching. I kind of got the pattern wrong of these little skin folds, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put in between the photo and what I already have down, what seems to make sense. So if anybody starts judging my skin folds, I'm telling you, I'm going to have words. So in this body, because all of those scales are so fine, we're just going to work with little stipples, little dots. How far away they are from each other indicates how dark or how light it is. I don't want to cover it all in dots, so I'm going to fade out areas. Less is more. Every once in a while, you might see these really cute white polka dots, which I really like personally. So I'm going to put those in. And instead of doing a completely enclosed circle, I'm just going to do a mostly closed circle. So a little bit sketchy, almost like a horseshoe, a little bit tighter. Because really what we're putting in is the shadow behind the scale, which is on the bottom half. The light's coming from the top. So if you're good at noticing the pattern of where those are, because they seem to be little constellation-like, and use your observational skills in that regard. I'm just going to put indication of them in without making too much of an effort as to where they are. Pardon. Oops. They are slightly random, so try not to put them in a perfect pattern, no matter what. And then those dots stippling are going to come up just at the realm of those spikes. There's more of a concentration of them at the meeting of the spikes in the body, but it's definitely not solid. And this is where the whole saying about like that what we're doing is putting in an indication of something, just getting the idea of something comes into play. Because if you zoomed in, you'd see that there's a little bit more of a pattern, but it would not serve anyone to get in to actually copying that. Unless you want to impress people with high realism. But you wouldn't be taking my class if that's the case. I've always been more on the mindset of get your proportions right. And then when I say right too, I also mean like they can be wonky as long as it feels right and there's character, personality. But then from there, your personality should come through and how you think about if you touch this little dude, how he feels. And I know he's slightly bumpy. And that's where the stippling, you know, okay, that feels good to me. That's what really matters. You know, back at Curry's art school, there was an artist teaching airbrushing. His name was William Lazarus. He's still kicking it in Toronto. Anyway, his own work is hyper realistic, and his subject matter, ever since I've known him, so it's 20 years, has been pinball machines, or like stores that have old retro toys and things like that. Yeah, look him up, man. It's crazy. His work is so hyper realistic, and it's actually cool to see because you understand the shapes of things and how you make something look shiny, you know, especially chrome. But I'll tell you, it takes him about 6 months to complete a painting. Like, it is insanely invested interest. And when you have to price something that high because of all that work, oh, I don't know.
What's his name?
William Lazarus, Lazos. Maybe it's Lazos. Lazos. He's never corrected me if I was saying it wrong. He works, like, his job is actually painting murals on, well, not murals, but it's like when a company hires someone to paint an ad on the side of a building, like the huge ones. So he's the artist who like brings in the scaffolding, and that's an art in of itself, because you have to understand the distortions to get the proportions that large when an object is like 3 times the size of you. So very interesting job. He's an interesting guy, very talented. But my point was, because I did have one, is that everything that he does is an abstraction. It's actually, like, that's what hyperrealism is. It is still an abstraction. Robert Bateman has also said that. Right in here, I just want to talk about the armpit where there's the creases there. Again, I'm not putting in a line. I'm just putting in dots to differentiate the body and behind. And I'm going to trickle them out into those little creases. And we've got more V's. I'm going to space them out a little bit more than the underbelly in the arm. They're larger than those dots. Where you see a shadow, so where his elbow, the inside of the elbow, I see more shadow in there. I'm going to make a higher concentration of those V's closer together. My ink wasn't very dark in this area, so I'm going to use my marker to darken that up. Just kind of spackle it around.
I love the bird chirping.
Who's got a bird?
I don't know. I can hear a bird chirping somewhere in the background. Isn't it a bird?
Is anyone going to admit to it? I don't have a bird.
Maybe your window's open, or
I can't hear it, but because I have music on. I think
can hear the bird.
Yeah. Is anyone else here?
I was gonna say, I can hear the bird and my dog snoring. That's it.
Is the bird not outside your window?
No,
Did I tell you all that I play cat TV for my cats when I go out? I put on YouTube cat TV, and the birds end up being huge, like, because the TV is big, and the squirrels are like dog size. They love it.
Oh my. How do you know they love it if you're not there?
Well, because I play it when I am here too.
Oh, okay.
Good question, but I actually, because I don't mind the sound of birds, and so because that's the audio for the most part, and so sometimes I'll be like at lunch, I will eat my lunch, watch Judge Judy because that's my thing, and I'll put on the birds for them, and Sushi especially is just sitting there like eyes glued to the TV.
Really?
Yeah, so cool. I mean, sometimes he likes regular human movies too. At any point, talk to me about how things are going. I don't want to do much more personally in the body because I feel then I'm getting too detailed, and I'd like to bring in color and have that sort of pull it together. So, keep sort of checking on and off as to how much do you really need. So far, it's been dots and V's, but if you've come up with a really nice, neat alternative mark, share it, or else I will be sad because I'll see it. I think lost edges and things that don't quite connect, as long as there's somewhat of an indication, like in the arm that I have here, I don't want to do much more. I think that it's enough, and that the eye fills in the difference. So again, you can always come back at the very end after reassessing it, and add more. But I think allowing those lost edges is very nice. going to a gallery opening after class at the Patel Brown Gallery downtown. It's an exhibition by Kim Dorland. I love his work. It's so incredible. Very expressive. I first saw his work, I don't know, 20 years ago, and he was doing like birch trees with graffiti on them. Very modern, expressive. And I've been following him since. And so this current exhibition he's putting on is all his paintings are black, variations of black oil paint. And it just, from what I've seen on a little video of him going around the gallery, setting it up, it's so cool. So monochromatic stuff, if you wanted to leave this fella, just black and white, it's very powerful as well. On those little spikes, it's on one of the edges. It doesn't really, I don't think it matters. I don't think so. No, it doesn't. It could be either side. To just kind of change the shape where it meets, that it's a little bit more rounded in here. Like it will feel, it's that contour line that we were talking about last week, is that there's a little bit of a string being wrapped around. So even if it's exaggerating from what you see in the photo, it will feel embedded into his body if there's a slight indication of a curve. There's also a shadow on one side. I'll just do a couple dots. Okay, just time-wise, I'm going to go into the eye. I'm just going to skip around. And again, using those dots, I'm going to give them some personality. All this stuff in the body is just repetition. And always come back to it. Give yourself a break anyway. It's going to go loopy.
Shar, what are you thinking of for the color of the
Because it's a very specific creature, you know, that I do want to say, oh, this is a Boyd's forest dragon. I went with the natural warm and cool browns.
Okay.
I saw from just exaggerating the color a little bit. There's like a terracotta sort of pinkish blush hue. There's definitely green and yellow. And then I thought to just again exaggerate and push, put a little bit of blue in the rocks and not just so that the rocks have a slight differentiation. So if I come in with that colored pencil and I just tickle underneath him, again, I'm hardly touching. I'm not a big fan of just doing hatches. I like the scribbles because it kind of avoids patterning in general. But just bringing in a little hint of blue, that was like my thought of creating a separate plane from him. But then I was also going to bring in some of the brown because it's like, well, he is camouflaged. So there would be like a mix of bringing in some of that sandy color. It's like a raw sienna. And I like the texture of my paper, so I might not even use water to wash that out. Kind of like the total subtlety of that. So what I love about water color pencils is you have the choice. But there are, let's see here, There is yellow at the back of the head. And sort of like, yeah, where the sun is hitting. I'm just going to imagine it's sun hitting his body. He's sunbathing, as reptiles do. And so in the nose. But I definitely see green here around the eye. And then there's going to be green in the body too. You can use ink over colored pencils. So if you need a break from inking, you could get into some little hints of color without worrying about the layering, because it'll be fine to come in over top. And I'm crisscrossing certain colors. I didn't suggest colored pencil because I want you to have the choice, but just kind of talking about the process of colored pencils for those who might be interested in like layering multiple colors. I feel like he's got a nice blush on in the cheeks. And the mouth. It's got a little lip stain, or it's like a tinted chapstick. And also press a little bit harder with colored pencils to make a smoother transition from ink. I don't want to necessarily bring in a heavy line on the mouth, so I'm just going to talk about that now. This goes for all animals, all mediums, is to put in only the lines you need and a sketchy line. So I'm actually going to put in the kind of pattern of circles that I see, and it's so subtle. I mean, I think doing it with pencil crayon would be perfect, but just to sort of talk about how you would make it in ink is using a finer tip. And at some point breaking it up. Oh, sorry, I don't know if my screen went out there. My battery's sort of on the way out. I had a freak out last night because my iPad wasn't charging, and I had to go on all these forums to find out why. Why do I have to do that? They should tell me after an update. They should give you oh, you need to do this, because apparently, I'm saying this in case it helps someone else. With the last update, if you go into your settings under I guess it's facial recognition and password, there's an option to add your accessories for charging, and you have to click that on. And I think that's so ridiculous. It's almost like they're trying to make us go crazy. It feels intentional lately. So under the nose, I'm just doing a little shadow. It's not so important to get all these highly detailed. So just little shadows on the bottom of things, because that's where the light's hitting at the top. So because of time, I'm going to ask, is there something you would like to see demonstrated right now before we share and head off for the session? We can, again, bring them back next week and have a discussion. You are welcome to email me. But is there something that I can show you that you're like, oh my God, no, don't leave me hanging?
Are we doing anything with the feet? Like, how do we treat that? Are we just gonna leave it white like that, or like
Yeah, great.
those?
So I was intending on kind of coming through and just letting the stippling fade off. Now there are some patterns in there, so unless you're doing it all black and white, in that case, I would use my ink in a sort of light gray fashion to put in some of those spots, because there's these little pixelated moments in the pattern. So I would either accent that with a gray wash, or I'm going to identify it more with the color. So to bring in the yellow just in those digits. And the bluish, brownish rock around, or again, exaggerating colors how you see fit. You can add a little bit more violet into the rock, but keeping the colors of Tater the same will really help to pull that together. It's subtle, but I think that's what's really nice about things. If your feet aren't standing out too much, I would push the in between values, because this to me is enough. With a little bit more color, it's just wet right now, but that to me is enough because I can see where the feet are. So I think it's kind of up to you how much you want to go in. If you want to identify more of that V pattern, I would just choose a finer tipped marker. It doesn't need to be the wider tip. So the hands are pretty camouflaged and dainty, quite dainty. I'll scan this fella and send it out to you guys, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I know it is only so much you can see on a screen. Any other requests? Okay, who would like to share and get some feedback? So if you did keep working on it.
I would, because I have to go soon, Char.
Yeah, we're all going. Okay. Love the color. Fantastic. He's one. You're done. You are done. I think he's fantastic. And the eye, actually, it looks like he's looking off to the
I ended up, because the charcoal watercolor is erasable. So I erased the eye out and started again.
Wow. Well, I am really excited and impressed, and I would love to use that product for a future class, but I would put it on the material list for sure. I am really excited and impressed, Marley. I love them.
Thank you. See you next week.
Yeah, have a fantastic weekend. Mwah.
You too. Bye-bye.
Monday. See you Monday. Yep.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye. Annie?
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to do any of the marker or the fine point pen yet.
This is all with ink?
This is all with ink.
Oh, the texture of the rock is stunning, but I'm really excited about the background because it looks like another rock plane in behind him.
Oh, good. I was thinking that maybe I was going to add a layer to even it out.
No, please don't.
Okay.
No. If anything, there's a darker spot under his chin that's like on the very left that I would just, so that darker part, just fade that out into the background with the same variegated inconsistency, just so it's not so abrupt. because if you squint at it, that black spot stands out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not necessary. It doesn't actually add anything to it. So I would just fan that out.
Okay.
You could do the whole rest of this creature with the ink and brush, Annie. You don't have to use a marker.
Oh, I'll have to find a more fine brush.
Right. Well, I mean, I was just just saying that you can, because you're doing such, you're kind of on a roll with the ink and brush. So yeah, but I would, okay, if you are going to bring in the pens, I would do the same thing you've done in the face with the ink washes and the body. It looks fantastic.
Okay. Super. Thank you.
You know, it's like Christmas for me every single share, because I can't see what you're working on. So I'm like really excited.
Yes, I can share. Didn't get that far, but anyways.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the rock texture. That's great.
So I think I'm gonna put the coloring is gonna help me pull it out a bit better, I guess. It just looks a little faded now.
It does dry lighter, yes. And so I would push on the, I guess it's going to be his left arm, the one that's sort of in the center of the three of the arms. I would do a little bit darker in between the fingers, a second pass.
Yes.
I kind of, again, I think I would go in with the stippling from the body into the arms, but really fade it. I don't think you need much, because the shape of them is really good and solid enough. So actually, if we have two areas like the arm and the rock that meet each other with the same texture, we have to think about how to, differentiate them, or else then they just sort of become one.
Yeah.
So I would lessen up on the stippling in the arms and just let it fade into the fingers. Hardly, like just a couple dots here and there.
I guess I need a bit of volume for the rocks.
It's not about the rocks. So I actually think it's fantastic the way it is. I'm gonna just do a quick showing on here is what you could do is volume for the fingers. So that's
let's see. Okay.
kind of what I thought of, is that you could come in and do, again, like you're putting a string around and you space them out. Just think about like almost chicken toes. Just like that really exaggerated curve, because then this feels volume.
Okay.
It's just an option. If you think the rocks need more, then you do more.
Okay.
It looks great on screen, I'll tell you that.
Okay, thanks.
Stacy?
Hooray.
Wow.
Oh, he's awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, I think I got carried away, especially in the rocks.
Oh,
That's so fast.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, is how did you do that so fast? Fade out that shadow underneath them on the rocks, just as in, yeah, it's a little too much of a solid shape.
Okay.
Yeah, so just pull that shape into the rocks so that it feels part of the rocks.
Okay.
Because I know you can go like loony with the details, and you're capable of it, so we don't need to prove that. I think you should stop really soon with the texture in the body and the face. Like, I would call it sooner than later. And if you're, then you're happy to text me. You're welcome to text me, because the thing is, it's all there. So just get a little bit of subtle washes or stippling in the back of the head, just against the things feel part of it. But I would love to check you on not overworking this.
Yes, me too. Is there something I can do to with the rocks, or you just think the color will be?
Yeah. You don't need any more detail on the rocks.
Yeah,
It's painterly. It looks like rocks, and the color will help.
Okay.
You know, for whatever it's worth, depending on how you use color to differentiate that. If you did more work on the rocks, then you'd have to do more work on the on tater, and then you're in the same situation you usually find yourself up in, you know?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. My loves, my juice is running out. I'm so sorry. Laura, let me guess.
I'm fine. I'm still so behind. So
Would you please feel welcome to email me, and I will say, okay, this is looking great. Just do a little bit more here. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Anytime. Megs. I was going to say Megster. I just gave you that nickname. Hell yes to the color.
Wow.
See, I like how simple those rocks are. That to me is exciting because I'm focused right on tater.
Yeah.
And so when you bring the color in, what I would maybe bring some stippling in just here and there on the rocks. Very sparse, not much, but just so that same pattern is in the rocks, because he's got a camouflage vibe to him.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's attached anything to it. It looks like a cotton ball.
Yes, and so just repeating the stippling will work.
Okay.
And feel free to message me when you get to that and you want to check in. Cool. I am so impressed. Everyone's worked quickly. I will get in touch with, once I find a photo that I'm excited about out of what we talked about, I will send you the recording. Again, it might be by tomorrow. I try to do it in the same day, but sometimes the uploading and downloading doesn't work out so well. I did sort of check in the recording on last week, by the way, and it seems okay. It's just when I was editing it, there were freeze frames, and it kind of freaked me out as to like, okay, you can still hear, but midway, I'd be like, and I was like, why are you doing this to me? So it took a lot longer because I would like close the program, restart my computer, thinking that it might have been on my end. So anyway, things happen, right? Much love. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy the summer we have. And I can't wait to see you next week.
Bye, ladies.
Have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.